Folks, this is a series that we do weekly that I'm really excited about. We basically go through your comments, get the spicy comments or questions, the ones that I maybe need a deeper answer. And we all must thank Millennial Mike. This would not be possible without him. So do me a favor, leave a comment below thanking Mike. And of course, if you want to send him a note on Instagram,
Mhm.
you can do that. So I do not know what comments he's picked, but if you want to make sure of that, you can always send it to him on Instagram. And Mike, thank you so much. Let's get it started.
Yeah, so as always, we go through the comment section of YouTube, and I find the best comments, good, sincere questions, people who just say, Mike, you're wrong, you're an idiot, you're stupid. We let them react to that. We also, we're just taking all types of controversy. So we sometimes even react to videos. So in this segment, we react to comments. In the next segment, we react to videos, and we will be getting to Reventures Consulting's
Oh
change of
no.
tune, but that's
Oh
for the next
no.
video.
Oh
In
no.
this one, we're going to start with Mike. You're in denial about real estate falling. So from G. Bailey, 7672, he says, Zuber thinks it's impossible for real estate to come down. What about unemployment spiking? What about the impending crash in commercial? What about a recession worse than expected? Sometimes I enjoy the daily news, but the analysis is a little one-sided on this point. Robert Schiller penned to paper on real estate bubble in '04. If there is a downturn in progress, it's going to take years. So, Mike, are you in denial? Is it worse than we feared and about to happen?
Um, so it's funny because when I didn't remember that comment. There's a lot in there, so I'll try to piece it apart, make sure I hit there. So first and foremost, I am not in denial. I've said explicitly and probably done several videos on it on what it would take to have a housing crash. And one of the one that's most popular is if we have an unemployment spike to 10% and we are there for 18 months, that could eventually lead to a problem. Second, I'm one of the very first people to talk about commercial real estate being the problem, you Jack Weasel. So get over yourself. You can go back and watch me talk about the commercial market doing the exact same stupid things as residential over a year ago. So not only am I calling for a commercial crash, I was early and right. Thank you very much. We've done examples for the audience where we could take a $25 million building and turn into eight. We've talked about 40, 50, and dare I say 80% crash in commercial. So your little something, watch some more videos because I'm calling for that. And we just talked about it again this morning. Third, uh, people don't understand residential real estate. They all want it to be like the Great Recession, and it's just not. We have 98% of debt fixed. We have so many people below six. Even if unemployment rises, do you guys not realize that the banks have instituted forbearance, 40-year mortgages, all of these things to just smooth out the process? And then finally, Jack Weasel, if there is a foreclosure crisis, history says it will take over 1,000 days to close something. And then finally, I only talk about housing in year increments. So if you want to talk about housing in 2027, I am not your boy. I look every day. My crystal ball is broken as yours, and I only can look out a year, and it's not coming. So if you don't understand or you haven't listened to what I've said, that's not my problem. Commercial is crashing, called early. Residential won't in the next year. I've been right for 3 years in a row. You can, suck on that. And yeah, there could be things that would cause a housing crash, but they will take much longer than you expect. And it will be years before the pain is felt. There you go. So, God, that stuff frustrates me.
Well, so one of his main questions in there, which I think a lot of people are wondering, is if you are calling a crash and all this pain in commercial, why won't that cause bleed over into residential? Why are those two markets so I can't think of the right word. They don't
They're
move in
not
parallel.
correlated. They're not
There we
correlated. Yeah.
go.
So again, they don't move in the same cycle, right? All real estate is not the same. And if you read my book, One Rental at a Time, you will see I've walked this dance before. So I'm not a millennial in my mom's basement. I'm a guy that moved capital around before, and they don't move in the same circles. And the reason is the debt structure. Single family homes, again, we talked about 98% fixed. Most people's mortgage payment is below rent. I mean, the uneducated economist talks about the house he bought in, I think, Oregon somewhere. is below
Mm.
the cost of two-bedroom, they're not going anywhere. They get
Right.
laid off. They'll get unemployment, pay it. They'll get roommates if they have to. It's not coming. So there really is no direct correlation. There could be causation, right? If we have enough pain in the commercial segment with lending drying up, really it's about private companies also not getting the next round. These could lead to layoffs, but it's the dominoes are far apart and we won't feel it this year, right? So again, we'll see it coming. I will call it on my channel. I don't make calls about 2027 because that's just guessing.
Mm.
But with real estate, with 20, almost 30 years of looking at it, you could see how the dominoes are set up, and hence my 3 years of calling it right.
Well, let's move on to another popular topic, which is crash bro drama.
Oh gosh.
So, so this guy says, "Good morning. Crash Bros update. They are perplexed by the lack of inventory and the sticky prices. The hosts use right. I know, it's so confusing. The hosts are using national trends and they highlight the massive pricing decreases in markets like San Francisco, and then have to sling some major bullcrap when their audience asks, why are the prices for everyday homes not decreasing in my market? If you call them out respectfully in the comments, they get angry. So, Mike, opine on their denial."
So again, we just have to admit something. It's time to have that adult conversation. These crash bros are idiots, but they're also geniuses. And I mean that with every fiber of my body. They are geniuses. They have attached into a niche, right? Riches are in the niches that pay them handsomely. One of these crash bros, and I refuse to name them, put out a series of posts on his YouTube channel basically saying, I want to create different content, but I can't because the YouTube algorithm will punish me. Please follow me over here instead. So the crash bros are feeding an algorithm and being richly paid for it. Capitalism at its finest. If you are a sheep following these idiots, that's on you. They're doing what they should do. The system says feed the audience what they want and you'll be richly rewarded. One of these guys, because I have vidIQ, got 4.5 million views in the last 30 days.
Wow.
Conservatively speaking, that's 70 grand.
Yeah.
He would be an utter moron to do anything but produce this content. He's a genius. If you find a niche that pays you 70 grand and you could live with yourself, dude, that's $840,000 a year. Of course he's going to do that. Of course he's not going to. He won't. He put out a post that said, I can't create other content because it hurts my channel. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about these idiots, you're not paying attention. These people are not out to help you. They are out to create money and buy homes. The two largest crash bros are buying homes today or have already bought a home. You are sheep being led to slaughter. It's insulting to people who try to help. But again, I want to close with they are geniuses, absolute geniuses. They found it and they're hitting it every day. Good for them.
Yeah, it's very frustrating when you try to educate somebody, because sometimes some people have legitimate questions. They want to invest, they want to buy, they're not sure what to do. They see somebody saying the sky is falling. And then you try to explain to them, okay, not all real estate in all markets behaves the same way. Yes, what happened in Idaho is probably not going to happen in all of these other states all across the nation. You have to know your particular market, which is one of the main theses of your book, is you have to get local, you have to learn your market, you have to do the work. Because yeah, there is pain in San Francisco, there is pain in Boise, Idaho, there is pain in Arizona. But if you don't live in those particular markets, and if you're not even buying in that particular asset class, most of the pain in those areas are above the median. Where are you shopping? Exactly. My rentals aren't above the median. My 3-bed, 1-baths are below the median. Yeah. So it's surface level analysis done to generate outrage. It's outrage brokership, and we live in an outrage culture. You have to do a deeper analysis so you can better understand what's actually happening, or you're just going to get lost in the sauce.
People don't want to do the work. They want to have permission to sit on their ass and click the next video. And again, these crash bros are absolute geniuses. $70,000 a month minimum to produce videos.
Yeah.
Why would they stop? Ask yourself, would you stop? There you go.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Alrighty. So question for you, because you have now been on record saying that you don't think we're going to have rate cuts for a year. In fact, this morning I listened to your financial news before we started. You said you think we have most likely one more quarter point raise. Honestly, even no matter what happens, unless inflation fell below 5%, you thought we were going to see another quarter point. Right. And so Greg B2 says 1 year until rate cuts. Zuber, that's a bold call. I say that call has a very low 5% chance of being right. So why do you think it's going to be 12 months before we ever saw rate cuts?
Yeah, so let's put it in context. I did say March, so now we're 11 months away because we're recording this in April. But because I want my call to be on record, right? I don't think the first rate cut is until March, and that's because and again, you can go back and I have receipts. I believe the Powell's main objective is to break the Fed put. Mm-hmm. What is the Fed put? The Fed put is basically went in with Greenspan and really Bernanke and then Yellen, where anytime the stock market threw up, the Fed would bail out. I believe what Jerome Powell is doing, and he said this at Jackson Hole meeting, which was 6 months ago, I'm going to punish the billionaires. That's what he's doing by breaking the Fed put. We are already seeing billionaire Barry whine and moan on CNBC. He's bringing PowerPoint to CNBC. That just tells you how stressed billionaires are when they bring PowerPoint, right? I mean, that's asinine. And so again, I think Jerome Powell is taking on something bigger than himself. I don't think many people get that. I think they think Jerome Powell is a wet noodle, and I think he's trying to tackle something bigger. If I am right, which I'm not saying I am, but if I am right, he won't cut till March unless something nasty breaks. If you think he's a puppet of Wall Street, you're probably right. He cuts early. I am holding out hope that, since he started, I said he's going to break the Fed put, which again, I said early, and I don't see a reason to change. If you think my chances are 5%, that's okay. That's what makes a market. If I were to put a number on it, I don't know, maybe 30%. But again, this is what I want to happen. I want the billionaires to feel pain. I want zombie companies to go bust. I want illiquid, high leverage stupidity trades busted. And I don't like socializing losses. I hate that part of capitalism. Mm-hmm. And in order for that to go bye-bye, the Fed put must be killed. And my hope is Jerome Powell does that. I could be wrong.
So when you say that it's most likely there won't be any cuts until March of next year unless something nasty breaks, what are some examples of something nasty that could break?
Well, again, I think if something on like we saw in Europe, the gilt market, I think is what their bond market is. It basically was going to be a run on the bank. If we saw huge runs on the big banks, that might be a problem. Reverse repo market, there's some things in the plumbing that if it went to zero would be catastrophic. The key to this is it would be a black swan. For example, it's not commercial real estate. We all see that coming. It's not a black swan. In fact, today I read that Blackstone sold one of their buildings that they bought in 2014 for a $36 million loss. Those losses will just work through the balance sheet of companies. It will have to be something we don't see, likely in the plumbing of the treasury market would be my guess.
Interesting. All righty. Well, since we've talked about commercial, why don't we talk about single family? Because the residential housing market is experiencing a whole bunch of trouble right now, allegedly. So single family rents are in trouble. That's kind of a topic that's popping up. U.S. annual rent growth slows to nearly a 2-year low in January, CoreLogic reports. Single family rent price growth was up by 5.7% year over year in January of 2023, the lowest rate of appreciation since the spring of 2021. Can you give us a little deeper analysis? Because there's some tricky words in there.
I don't know what this guy's problem is. Single family rents are up almost 6%. Yeah, it's down from 11 to 12. I've been doing this for 22 years. Rents are usually up 3%. Mm-hmm. So even though it's down to 6%, that's still 100% more than normal. They need to come down. Tenants are rent burdened. And I believe, and on record saying that I think apartment rents will go negative And I believe they have in a lot of part of the country. They will go more negative. Single family is sticky. People who get into a home, even as a rental, don't want to go back to an apartment.
Right.
My hope is rents in single families might go to zero. I would love to see 1-2 years of zero rent appreciation. We've seen a decade of rent appreciation in the last 24 months. I don't want to see 6% going forward. So I don't know what this guy's challenge is. Rents are down to 6% growth. That's still double what they used to be. I mean, it's like these reading is a good thing, folks. Please go look at the history books. Things did exist before 2020. You know, the data's out there. There's this wonderful, powerful search engine called Google. You really should use it.
Yeah, and this is a point. This is actually to talk about Reventure Consulting again, who we're going to react to some video of his here in our next segment. He released videos about investors being in major trouble because rents are declining at record rates. And he was talking about, this is a great example of where they use one statistic to kind of make a overgeneralized statement. Apartment rents are coming down, like you mentioned. So that means that all investors, especially ones in single family houses, which is the market he talks about because people who want to buy single family houses compete with investors who buy single family houses, that's evidence the whole market's crashing. And there's been a record decrease. We're at our lowest point since 2021. Yeah, you're correct. But we're still at double what healthy growth is. We need to keep coming down just to get back to what healthy growth is. Yes.
I try not to say his name. Was there a movie where you said Baltimore like 3 times, some bad, or Beetlejuice? That was it. Beetlejuice. I don't say his name.
Well,
he's only out for himself.
Movie.
It is a great movie. I just don't say the name because I know what happens, right? It shows up. But it's if you guys don't know, he tells you in black and white he is out for himself. He put out a post the other day that says, I want to create new content, but I can't. Follow me over here. If you guys are not paying attention, he is not trying to help you. He's trying to get paid.
Yeah. Yep. Yes. All righty. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. All right, 2-year prediction. So at Kanor2307 says, your opinion is one, if not the most important for me in the housing market. What do you think is going to happen in the next 2 years? Will we see good conditions for investors to buy and have a good yield, or will the government flood us with money and destroy the economy?
So I'll take question number 2. I don't see a repeat of them flooding the market. I don't think, again, my point is the Fed wants to kill the Fed put. I don't think there's appetite in Congress for more stimmy checks, right? That was the beauty of a split government. I think stimmy checks have died. So I don't see the second part of that happening. However, I'm not really sure I see to me, the first part of that question is like, hey, is it going to get easy? It's never easy to be a real estate investor. In fact, I think the next 2 years, we do about 4 to 4.4 million transaction, which is down 35% from normal. I think that's better. I am more excited about the next 2 years than I was the last 2 years, but that's because I do the work. I have a buy box. I know what I'm looking at every day. I'm very creative. I can do seller financing. I have a network. If you are an investor doing the work, you should be salivating over the opportunities coming, but it's not going to be easy. You know, the people on my channel, the other millionaires might make it sound easy, but none of it's easy. It all takes work. It takes consistent work. It takes, taking your shot, missing a lot. But I'll close with, yeah, I'm excited about the next 2 years. I think wealth is made in a recession, and I've done it before, and I'll do it again.
So I want to tell you a story about the comment that I get on my YouTube channel that irks me more than anything else. The one that just makes me so frustrated, and it's a variant of "You Got Lucky." I hate it. I hate "You Got Lucky" because so I'm sitting there, and someone will leave a comment, and it's well, it's easy for you to say you purchased in 2018. Look how difficult things have gotten now. And what they don't know is that in 2018, Seattle, where I live in the duplex that I first started with, was the #1 appreciating market 23 months in a row for the entire country. Hottest market in the country for appreciation. It was a very competitive market. This thing came on the market, and I put an offer on it and got it accepted within 3 hours of it going on the market. It was very tough to get a deal. And it makes me so angry when people are like, oh, well, you just got lucky. And I can only imagine how much more frustrating it is for you, because you've probably heard that statement for 20 years at every single point in time. Right now, the media, your friends, your family, the market is probably doing something that will say to you, "Oh, it's so difficult. I wish I just bought 3 years ago." Well, 3 years from now, everybody's going to be saying about the people in 2023, "Well, they just got lucky."
Yeah, I've been hearing it a long time. And what I would tell you is, you know, that used to be my big trigger one. But I do the work every day. And again, people can follow me. We do daily videos on this channel. If you want to call this daily execution luck, go ahead. That's on you. I don't, daily execution doesn't feel lucky to me.
Yeah. Yep. No, I agree 100%. So to Canner, whose question you just answered, will we see good conditions in the future to buy? Yeah, I mean, we're hopeful about the future, but at the end of the day, it comes down to doing the work every day, because at any point in time, there are opportunities, there are good deals, there are people who are feeling stress or pain that need to sell, and you can jump in and capitalize on that if you're paying attention.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on to the infamous Jeff M., who we actually have a couple questions from this week. We have one here. We'll talk about one for reventure in the next segment. So he says, he wants to know why you chose real estate, Mike. So at Jeff M., he says, "Very well said, Mike. I read your book," which I have right here. He says, "but I don't recall you mentioning how you came about to the concise conclusion of real estate. Do you have any recommendations on helping to find that answer on what my thing should be?"
I wish I had a great answer for you, Jeff, but the answer is I struck out on lots of other things. Real estate was not my first choice. So again, coming out of school, getting MBA, my first thought was I was going to climb the corporate ladder, and realized that my personality would not make that work because I don't play politics very well, and my mind and my mouth don't always work together, probably as you've seen on this channel. So I knew I couldn't climb the corporate ladder. Then I tried the stock market. I had a little bit of luck, but what I didn't know is the market was going up. All boats were rising. I thought I was a genius. I thought that was my thing. I turned 7 grand into roughly 200 grand. I thought I was a genius. And then I lost 80% of it. So that wasn't fun. And then I remember going through Borders bookstore. I'm that old. And I found the purple book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Nobody in my life. I was 30 years old. 30. Nobody talked about real estate. Nobody talked about rentals. I think I was even renting an apartment at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And the book changed my life. Again, it became my thing because I knew if I did the work, I could find deals. And I never looked back. I didn't touch a stock for almost 20 years. You lose $160,000. That's not a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I was all real estate. So again, I didn't know. I took a shot at two other things before I came to real estate. So
the book Rich Dad Poor Dad really talks about mindset, talks about how the rich don't work for money. They make their money work for them. They invest in assets and not liabilities. I think in that book, they even talk about how your house isn't actually an asset. It's a liability until it becomes a rent producing asset. But that doesn't answer the question of why you chose real estate, because Robert Kiyosaki never makes the recommendation for real estate in that book, at least.
yeah, so I chose real estate because I understood how to do a math and cash flow. That's what I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if you read my book, you realize my first purchase almost killed me, right? It almost destroyed us. And it was only, the years after that that it was concrete that it worked. So why real estate? I had evidence that it worked. I actually like real estate for one thing that's not really talked about. It's inefficient. What do I mean by inefficient? Well, if you do the work and I get creative, you can structure deals with the seller that are below market. You can make money the day you close. You can't do that with stocks, right? You can't go in and try to buy Apple at $50. But I've bought plenty of properties for 30, 40% less than somebody else would have paid. I like real estate's inefficient, and it just makes sense. I can go see it. I can touch it. It's real. It's not this hypothetical thing that lives off in the ether that's held on a key or something. Yeah. And it produces cash flow and depreciation and taxes and leverage. So it was just my thing.
So we have one more question that kind of follows up on your story. And this one is from CO8848_2. Thanks for that. He says, yeah, right. He says, hey, I'd like to hear how to convert from 8 units to 80 units. How did you find that and finance that?
So again, by my book, it's well documented in there. I actually list the properties A to B, how I got there. The beauty is no cash. I think he's thinking I had to put a lot of money down. Not a dollar of my money went in. Go look up something called a 1031 exchange, where you move equity from like kind to like kind. You don't pay the IRS. It's a beautiful thing. So the short answer is I understand a 1031 exchange. I went from residential financing to commercial, and it was a rather straightforward process. So the short answer is buy my book.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I think before you worry about going from 8 to 80, you probably got to worry about going from 0 to 1. If you know anything about how acceleration works, you can't jump straight to 60 miles an hour. You have to go through 1 mile an hour first. Anyways,
Yeah.
Mike, those were the questions we had for you today. But we do have our Reventure Consulting debunked, exposed, destroyed, whatever the YouTube algorithm prefers video coming up next.
I don't know if I want to do this, but okay. Thanks, buddy.